All right, so I was waiting for this to happen. I wasn't wanting this to happen. What I mean is, I obviously heard about this like everyone else, but I haven't made videos on it because I wanted to see when it happened. I wanted to wait for it to happen before doing that. So, once again, I just wanted to share my take on what people aren't saying. This port strike, why would they allow this? Why would they allow something that could potentially devastate the lives of so many people? And because, people can't get access to products. If people can't get access to products because the products aren't being shipped, that means they're not shopping. If they're not shopping, then that means that businesses have to close. So people will lose jobs. People won't have access to food and essential things that they need. So why would they allow this to happen? Why would they allow it to happen before a big election? I don't think people understand. They don't. I guess people don't really fully understand that the wealthy men and women are really just, they're really just criminals. I don't mean that they're born criminals. I mean they understand from when they're young, and they either inherit some sort of company or position. They're born into wealth or whatever, and they start hanging around the other wealthy people. They start to realize I have to do criminal acts in order to stay wealthy, in order to keep my wealth, and to keep my position and my control over people. These criminals constantly come up with ways to I don't they don't come up with ways to destabilize us because they just want to destabilize people. The point people aren't getting is they come up with ways to destabilize us because it's the only way for them to maintain their wealth. You can only maintain your wealth if you keep everybody else blind, because everybody else, after a while, people are going to wake up and say, well, I don't have this, that, and the third, but these people do, and I'm the one supplying them with it, me and all these other poorer people. So let's change this. In order to stop that stuff from happening, the wealthy always have to do things to kind of destabilize us. It keeps us funneling our wealth to them, because the only way they stay wealthy is if the collective, the group, keeps funneling the little bit that they have up to them. That little bit from everybody turns into a lot. And so in order to keep that going, the wealthy have to do things to keep us blind, to destabilize us, to keep us afraid, just to keep us distracted and unaware of what's going on. So a lot of things are done that people can't understand because the wealthy have engineered it that way. A lot of the bad things that happen to you, happen to us, happen to everyone around the world, it happens because the wealthy have engineered it to happen that way. So when you see things like this, these types of things are distractions. The reason they allow stuff like this to happen is something big is about to go down. You have the upcoming election, where you have a group of people who want their person that they picked to win. You have this conflict going on overseas that is doesn't seem like it's stopping. And people have been doing two things. They have been really involved in what's going on in this election. They're also been involved in fighting back against this conflict, this terror attack that's been happening overseas.
Rescue workers are responding to the scene right now in southern Beirut, where they are evacuating the injured, also retrieving the bodies of those that were killed in the airstrike. You can still see the plumes of smoke from where that strike took place.
They don't want that. They need to keep the people distracted and focused on something else so that they can keep doing the stuff that they're doing. And these plans that they come up with, they're short-term plans. The wealthy aren't that smart. They just have access to money and power, and so they're able to manipulate things. But they're not some sort of omnipotent force that knows all. These are short-term. These aren't long-term plans. These are short-term. That's why you constantly see them happening throughout our lifetime. All these big events that are little in this grand scheme of things, but these big events, the crash of the economy in 2008, the pandemic in 2020, this conflict, this terror attack that you're seeing overseas, this port strike, all these little things happen because there are little plans that the wealthy come up with in different scenarios that they realize that they can use to keep the people focused on something else. So this port strike, the reason they would allow this to happen, because the government can step in, and the government's done this in the past. They've bailed out Wall Street, right? They've bailed them out. So why didn't the government step in and say, you know what, we're gonna help supplement the money that you port workers are making until we get this resolved. We don't want to shut anything down, so we're going to use emergency funds to supplement your income, to stabilize everything until we can figure this out.
Now, this strike could cost the economy up to $5 billion per day and lose more than $7 billion in GDP per week for the U.S. economy. President Biden yesterday again saying he will not stand in their way. Watch.
Mr. President, would you intervene in the dock workers' strike if they go on strike on Tuesday?
No,
Why not?
because it's collective bargaining. I don't believe in Taft Harbour.
Listen, we're less than 18 hours out, and this president's saying it's collective bargaining. Well, that's true if they've actually been to the table. They haven't met since June. I mean, where is the leadership here? We've got Southeast United States, half of North Carolina, parts of Georgia, Southern Virginia that are underwater or under mud digging out. These people need help. And now we're going to shut down 36 ports. All the commerce going in and out of this eastern half of the country, 46% of all agriculture is exported out of our East Coast ports. This is not the time for a strike. This administration needs to get these parties to the table and get a deal. They're derelict. They're not anywhere near this negotiation. So this needs to get called out, and I appreciate you shedding light on it.
Why didn't they do that? They use emergency funds for other irrelevant things, like we're going to start a conflict in another country and then use emergency funds to keep the conflict going. So then why don't you use the emergency funds when it's important, really important for stuff like this? Because again, ports shutting down means people lose jobs, means people lose access to essential items. When people start to lose access to essential items, they lose jobs, they don't have money. Even if they did have money, they can't buy anything because nothing's available. What do you think happens? Chaos.
While union workers hit the picket lines, people are running to Harris Teeter and Norfolk to stock up on groceries.
Just get ready and be prepared for it. Toiletries, groceries, everything that your family needs.
I've got coworkers that have 6-month-old babies. They need formula, and there's no formula on the shelves.
Elizabeth Erickson says the rush reminds her of the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic shutdown.
I hope that everyone can kind of come to an agreement because people are being affected. I mean, the grocery prices in there. I remember during the pandemic, the cost of everything, there was no paper products, and I'm just worried that might happen again.
Across social media, people are sharing images of empty store shelves like this one. Shaw says if the union does not reach a deal soon, then the cost of groceries could rise.
If we get this thing solved, say, within 2 weeks to no more than a month, very little impact to the consumer. We get past a month, then it's a new territory, and I think we're going to be facing price increases, which will affect the inflation rate.
Well, Shaw also says consumers may see a slight price increase on perishable items because they have a shorter shelf life. But again, he believes a strike will be solved soon.
So why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't the government step in and do what they do to help out their wealthy friends? Because they wanted this to happen, because it's a distraction. And I'm just making this just because I want to make this. You know, nobody's going to listen, and even if nobody's going to hear this, and even if they hear it, they're not going to listen. Nobody's going to do anything. I'm making this just to make it. But this distraction is happening because there are going to be some major things going on. And I've talked about this in the past. Well, first, before I get to that, I just want to kind of to repeat what I said so people can really understand it. This is a distraction. It is being done on purpose. This could have been averted. This didn't have to happen, but the wealthy men and women that you guys constantly support, again, they do these little things that destroy and destabilize our lives because it's something they need to do in order to help themselves, and they do this to us all the time, and nobody does anything about it. Well, guess what? I've been pushing a stop shopping message for for over half a decade at this point. Over more than half a decade, I've been pushing a message that if you want change, you got to stop shopping, because the wealthy men and women who own our politicians, who own our governments around the world, they don't influence, they directly control the outcome of things. They create scenarios because they bribe the politicians, and they write the bills, and they tell the politicians, do what I said, pass this bill that's going to benefit me at the expense of everyone else. The politicians do it because the politicians are politicians, because they know they can make a lot of money because they work directly for the wealthy. So the wealthy have been controlling us for a long time. And so when you see all of these bad things happening and you don't know who to blame, well, people like me try to tell you who's to blame. And the only way that you can fight back is the only legal way and safe way that you can fight back is by altering how you spend your money. Take your money away from these big businesses. The loss of revenue through these big businesses will affect stock portfolios, investments, directly affect the cash flow of these wealthy people. It is only then that the wealthy people will then make a change, because they'll then realize, well, things aren't going smoothly anymore. My cash flow is starting to become messed up because the citizens are now upset and they're pulling their money from us. So we need to adjust things. We need to go in and at least give the masses some sort of concession to keep this money thing going. So I've been constantly telling people, if you want to get the attention of the people that control your government and hence control your life, you have to use your money. You have to pull your money from these big businesses. Once you pull your money, it will affect them, and then they will reach out. Then they'll wake up and pay attention and say, okay, all right, guys, you got our attention. What do you need to do? They won't just come out and directly say that. You're not going to have Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos doing a press conference, but they will instruct their politicians to come out and do that. So they'll go to the president and say, all right, have a State of the Union address and discuss that you're going to give this, that, and the third to the people. Or they'll go to the governors and the mayors that they own and say, all right, go to the people here in your state, in your city, tell them that you're going to do this for them, that the thing that they wanted, we'll give it to them. Or you'll have the politicians come on and say, you know what, we're going to have this new forum set up so that people can let us know what is needed, because there's a lot of hardship going. You'll see that the politicians start paying more attention and giving you the things that you want, because they'll be instructed to do that by their real bosses, the wealthy people. So I've been pushing that message for a long time, because I'm not a smart person, but I've thought about this since, 2002, when I realized what really happened on 9/11. When I really realized that, I started thinking about this stuff. And I came up with that concept over a long period of time. So I'm not that smart. It took me a long time to come up with it. But my first solution was to tell people to stop working. Just to shut down the country, stop working. But I realized, that's not going to work, because you need essentials. You need services. You can't tell people not to go to work, because a lot of things that people need are going to shut down, like electricity, garbage pickup, water plants will close. You can't do that. But you can work and then hold on to most of your money. And then when you do go shop, you just change how you shop. You go to a small mom and pop shop. You go to local stores that don't really contribute that much money into the pockets of the wealthy. So instead of going to places like Walmart, for example, where they pump their money in, their money is being used to support all of these other bigger businesses, things like that. You pull your money from those places, you'll start to get people's attention. You just shop locally, local mom and pop shops. You're really only helping the people within your community, and you take away the money from the big chain stores that you see all over the place in every part of the country. You take your money away from them, you'll get some change. So I've been pushing that message for a long time. Nobody's listening. Nobody pays attention. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to stop. Well, guess what? There is a quote from a movie I used to watch a lot called Bronx Tale. I think it was called A Bronx Tale. Robert De Niro directed it. And it's one of my favorite scenes. There's some hillbilly bikers. They go into a bar I guess they're in the Bronx. I don't know why the hillbillies would be I guess back in the 80s you had certain biker groups, and whatever, it was a biker group. They go into this bar that's owned by these Italian mobsters, and they go in and they're being rowdy and they're being crazy, and the Italian guy behind the counter is kind of, and the owners are kind of telling them, look, can you guys, we'll serve you, but just calm down. You're chasing away the rest of the customers. You're damaging stuff. Calm down. And the guys are like, F you, buddy. I ain't going nowhere. So the mobsters, after constantly trying to ask nicely, the mobsters go up to the door. They bolt and lock the door. They take out their weapons. They turn to the bikers and say, they don't say, I'm paraphrasing, but they basically are saying, you didn't want to leave when we asked nicely? Well, now's you can't leave. And then they proceed to beat the crap out of them.
Now he's got to leave. I'll tell you when the fuck we leave, all right? Get the fuck away from me.
Go watch the bites, man. Still half empty. Shit,
Now you just can't leave.
One of my favorite lines, and I use it for a lot of things, and I'm using it now. You guys didn't want to listen to me before about not shopping? Well, now you can't shop. You guys have ignored things for so long. It's gotten to a point where, you know what? Now they're going to take away your ability to shop, and they're going to do it because they want to distract you. And that distraction can potentially lead to something very bad and very dangerous. Now, the control that you had, that chip that you had, that card that you had to play in order to alter things, you had the ability before to change how you shopped, where it meant something. Now, you don't even have that anymore. They took that away. Now you can't shop. And now this could potentially lead to something a lot worse. Because instead of you changing how you shop and demanding that if things don't change, you're gonna direct how this loss of revenue goes. Now that's out of your hands, and now it's set up that, well, you can't shop. So, like I said earlier, this could potentially lead to something very bad. This could lead to, again, loss of revenue and loss of access to essential products. And once that happens, then you will see chaos. And people haven't been listening. Now it's too late. Now you can't shop. And it really isn't funny. I always laugh in these videos. Again, as I said in another video, I laugh because of how absurd life is and how absurd humanity is. It's a joke, like the comedian said from Watchmen. It's all a joke. Everything's just like a big joke. It's so funny. But I can understand how serious this is, so I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm just laughing at how absurd our reality is. So now you can't shop. Now some really bad things are potentially going to start happening. To black people, I've been making this video for about 2 years or a year. I think it's been about 2 years, about a black purge that I think is coming. And you've been seeing little things happening here and there. Some people getting lynched, and the government is saying, well, there's nothing we can do about it because the guy committed suicide. Wink, wink. You have, I think there was like some sort of mass shooting in Alabama happened this month. And they're dragging their feet saying, I don't know what, if anything, can be done. And I told you in my purge video, I said, in order to redirect the gaze of the masses away from the wealthy white who are destroying all of us, they're going to, or I believe, I don't know that this is going to happen. I believe that something is going to be set up to kind of make black people the target, to make people upset at us. Something's going to spark to make people upset at us, and then we're going to be the target. And if this whole chaotic future scenario happens where the ports don't open and businesses shut down, people lose jobs, money, and access to essentials, and it becomes sort of Mad Max type of world country, I think black people are going to be the ones that are going to be targeted. I think that's going to give a lot of the racists a excuse to go after black people and do the things that they've wanted to do to us for a long time. And you're going to start seeing stuff like this, and it's going to get worse. And if black people, if you haven't prepared for this, because you guys we don't do anything to fix we don't do anything to get any real change. We just talk about it and complain and whine. Yeah, so if the ones who have been listening to me, if you guys haven't prepared, it's too late. It's too late. I guess you still have time to go and get things. I've been telling people to prepare by arming yourself. I've been telling people to prepare by trying to get dual citizenship in other countries. Trying to get people to I don't even know. I've been trying to get people prepared, but nobody listens. Also, you have the wealthy owners of these platforms always shadow banning me and blocking me. But then the people that do, I used to always tell people I don't ask you to like or share or subscribe, and I don't ask people to do that. But it's kind of common sense. If you start to see someone is making videos and trying to give information and they're being blocked by the owner of the whatever platform, well, then you should be sharing that information, either sharing it directly or making your own messages. Either help by making your own messages. People don't even do that. I don't even see people do that. So I think all the stuff I've been saying over the years has kind of culminated into this thing. Hopefully this is kind of like a fluke, and it just, and the port situation resolves itself, and things, they won't go back to normal, but they don't devolve into chaos. Hopefully that happens, but I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of weird things that have been happening for the past 5 years. A lot of weird, just outlandish things all over the world, but especially in our country. And I don't know what it means because I'm not on the inside. I don't know the plans that these animals have. But something bad I think bad things have been happening. Like, we just had a hurricane and the government has said, oh, well, we don't have money. We don't know if we have money to help you. We have money to send. We can give money to illegal migrants. We can ship money overseas to murder babies. We can ship money overseas to keep conflicts going in Europe. But when our own citizens who are literally their lives are being destroyed, I don't know if I can help you with your own tax dollars. I can't use your money to help you. I'm sorry. It's not like people asking the government to do them a favor by, can you loan me some of your money? No, the people, we pay taxes. It's our money. I need you to use our money to help me now, okay? I don't think so. I can't. I don't know. I'm using your money to help myself and my rich employers. And I don't have enough left to help you. And people don't do nothing about it, so now we're at this point. So crazy things have been happening, and I think this is, we're right around the election. I don't know. I want to give predictions, but I at this point I can't even predict now. I guess I'll say that this port thing, they're gonna probably steal the election like they did for Bush, right before 9/11 happened, right before that big plan that they wanted to put in place happened, that whole terror attack plan happened. They worked to make sure that the candidate they picked, George Bush, got put into office. I think that's what's going to happen now. I believe, and I don't want people thinking I'm a Trump supporter or follower. I don't vote. I've never voted. I'm not an idiot, so I don't vote. And if I did, I wouldn't vote for Trump or Kamala. Trump is an ass clown and a whore and a racist and a loser and a failure. So I'm not a loser and an idiot. I wouldn't vote to put a piece of garbage like that in a position of power. I'm not a follower of his. And I don't want people to think that I am. But I believe that while Donald Trump has and still works for the wealthy, that's what Donald Trump is, a businessman. He's getting into this position to help himself financially. He knows it'll help him financially. While I believe that, I still believe that Kamala Harris is the pick that these people want to put in office. She's not doing too well, and they're working to get her into a position, and I think that they're going to steal the election and just give it to her. They're just going to rig it like they've done before and just push her in. And this port scenario, this debacle at this port, with the port workers are on strike, that's going to be used to distract us from that. People are going to be so focused on, I don't have money, I don't have access to products, that they're not going to really fight back or pay attention or do anything. I think, I don't know anymore at this point, but I think that's what's going to happen. So only got a little bit of time left. want to hear what people have to say. I know this is going to be shadow banned and blocked into oblivion. But people, if you're not prepared, it's practically too late at this point. So you have maybe a few weeks left, or maybe a month or a couple months left, where you can arm yourself, save up some money and arm yourself, get some essential products, go get as many bags of rice as you can, bottles of water, dry beans, as much dry beans, and they'll give you the protein you need, as much water. Bottled water. Bottled water is not good for you, but it's better than no water. Get as many cases of bottled water and as much rice as possible. Those are the things that really don't go bad that fast. Maybe get some canned goods. I wouldn't suggest that, but maybe get some canned goods. I would. If things go bad, you're gonna have to live off of rice and beans. Hopefully, you have enough seasonings. You produce, if you're not growing it yourself. I don't know. Another thing, get as much meat as possible and put it in the freezer. As much meat as possible. If you can find a farmer's market, get as much meat from them as possible. Freeze it. If you don't find meat, the reason I said farmer's market is if you don't find meat in a supermarket, because everyone else has been taking it, find a farmer's market. They may have some meat left. Whatever meat you can. You're not going to be eating that on a regular basis, but you'll have it. Freeze it. Buy it. Break it up into small portions. So if you get let's say you get a thing of ground beef, it's a pound, cut it up into smaller sections. Put them in Ziploc bags. Freeze them. So that if you need meat, you can thaw out a small amount and eat it with your rice and beans, because the rice and beans won't go bad. The meat that's frozen shouldn't go bad at that fast. I don't know how long this is gonna last. Who knows? But just prepare yourself. Arm yourself. Get access to that, and listen to me when I say this. Work on moving to another country. I wouldn't suggest that right away, but work on at least trying to find dual citizenship. Get your passport and look for countries that offer dual citizenship, and find out how to get citizenship in another country so that you can get out of here if you need to. All right. Good luck.